Hello again and welcome to our Nigerian viewers and viewers across the world. This is News at 5 and we have all of the updates for you across Nigeria. Let's begin with party politics now. The People's Democratic Party, led by the acting national chairman Abdulrahman Mohammed, has elected Mr. Mao Ohabunwa as the chairman of its new board of trustees for the party. Mr. Ohabunwa was elected today at a ceremony at the FCT minister's official residence in the nation's capital, Abuja. At the event, Issa Dansini emerged as the secretary of the board. At the ceremony as well, Mohammed said the move aims to restore the party's core values and regain public trust. He also explains that it's not just to inaugurate a board, but to reaffirm the ideals that built the party: justice, fairness, inclusivity, and respect for the rule of law. He acknowledged that recent internal disputes had strayed the party from its founding principles. Mr. Mohammed also disclosed that the previous board, led by Senator Adolphus Wabra, had lost its moral compass and that Chief Wabra's suspension by the Abia State chapter of the PDP, though was difficult, it was also necessary. To court matters now, where Justice James Omotosho of the Federal High Court in Abuja has fixed judgments for November 20 of the terrorism trial of the detained leader of the indigenous people of Biafra, Nnamdi Kanu. Justice Omotosho chose the date on Friday while ruling after Kanu failed to open his defense, having exhausted the 6 days allocated to him by the court to conduct his defense. The judge said Kanu, having failed to utilize the opportunity granted him to conduct his defense, cannot claim he has been denied the constitutionally guaranteed rights to fair hearing. Let's bring you more updates now as the debates over alleged genocide Christian claims in Nigeria heats up the polity. President Bola Tinubu has met with the Sultan of Sokoto, His Eminence Saad Abubakar, at the presidential villa Abuja. That's the feeders we are getting just a moment ago. Also in the meeting is the Speaker of the House of Representatives, Honorable Abbas Tajuddin. The crux of the meeting we hear is not known as at the time of this report. Earlier this week, precisely on Tuesday, President Tinubu met with the Catholic Archbishop of the Diocese of Abuja, Most Reverend Archbishop Ignatius Keigama, at the presidential villa. Although details of the meeting were not immediately made known to newsmen, it's underpinned the Tinubu-led government stance on promoting religious harmony. The United States President, Mr. Donald Trump, had accused the Nigerian government of complicity over alleged genocidal attacks against Christians, threatening to launch a military espionage to wipe out the dreaded Islamist terrorist groups, Boko Haram and ISWAP, as well as the bandits operating in the northwest and north central zones. Well, more reactions now. This time, the Chinese ambassador to Nigeria, Mr. Yu Donghe, has reaffirmed China's commitment to supporting Nigeria's fight against terrorism while criticizing foreign interference in domestic affairs. In a post on his official X handle, the ambassador emphasized China's opposition to using religion, human rights, or the threat of sanctions as pretext for meddling into other nations' internal matters. Following his meeting with Nigeria's National Security Advisor, Nuhu Ribadu, he pledged that China remains ready to assist Nigeria in combating insurgency and maintaining internal stability. The statement comes after U.S. President Donald Trump suggested potential military involvement in Nigeria, citing concerns over the safety of Christians in the country. With just less than 24 hours to the Anambra governorship elections, the coalition of civil society organizations have thrown down a challenge to INEC to conduct credible polls in order to improve confidence in the electoral process. Speaking during a briefing in Awka, the state capital, under the aegis of the Situation Room, the South-South coordinator, Achike Chudi, notes that this will be the first major test for Professor Joash Amupiton since his appointment as the chairman of INEC. Achike is also charging the commission to do a good job so as to improve confidence in the process. He further reveals that the Situation Room will be deploying observers to monitor and report in real time.
This election heralds the first major assignment of the new national chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, Professor Joash Amupiton, who was appointed a few weeks ago as the top helmsman of the election management body in the country. Situation Room acknowledges the assurance given by the Independent National Electoral Commission that it is fully prepared for the election, assuring that there will be no inadequacy with logistics and deployment. And note the assurance of the police as the lead agency on election security, that security personnel deployed for the elections are properly trained to conduct themselves professionally and within the civil rules of engagement. Given the state's strategic importance and high stakes politically, credible conduct of this poll will reinforce public trust in the democratic process in the Southeast and contribute to national momentum for deepening democracy in Nigeria. Situation Room has deployed accredited observers who have been trained specifically for this election and would also be receiving reports from its partner organizations and networks, as well as citizen observers from across the local government areas of the state through its election reporting app deployed for the election. For this election, Situation Room partners will be observing across different thematic areas, such as ballot integrity, campaign finance, security, misinformation and disinformation, mandate protection and inclusion. Their observation and reports will also feed into our own report of the election.
In the meantime, a civil society organization, TAF Africa, is appealing to all political actors, security agencies and residents in Anambra to uphold peace, tolerance and non-violence in line with the peace accord signed by the candidates. At a pre-election press conference in Awka, TAF Africa is emphasizing that violence and insecurity not only undermines the credibility of the electoral process, but it also affects persons with disability, many of whom face additional mobility, sensory and communication barriers during such crises. According to the Independent National Electoral Commission, a total of 2.8 million voters have registered to participate in the process, and that includes 3,456 persons with disabilities. And that's why TAF Africa is also concerned over the absence of disaggregated data on permanent voter card collection among PWDs, stressing that such data is essential for effective planning and inclusive participation in the process.
In 2025 Anambra State Governorship election, the 2025 Anambra State Governorship election presents a vital opportunity to assess how far Nigeria has progressed in guaranteeing equal electoral participation for citizens with disabilities. TAF Africa's observation mission aims to provide an evidence-based evaluation of INEC's compliance with the provisions of Section 54, 1 and 2 of the Electoral Act 2022, which mandates the use of assistive tools and inclusive measures for persons with disabilities. The exercise will guarantee valuable data to highlight existing gaps and successes in accessibility, assistive provisions, and voter experience for persons with disabilities. Beyond data collection, This monitoring effort emphasizes TAF's firm belief that inclusive elections are stronger, fairer, and more credible, because no democracy can truly thrive when over 30 million citizens with disabilities remain on the margins of political life. TAF Africa's Observation Methodology and Deployment Plan. Under our Persons with Disabilities Election Hub, PWD Election Hub, TAF Africa has deployed a team of 150 trained observers across 3 senatorial districts of Anambra State. The observers are strategically placed in polling units with the highest number of registered PWD voters. The deployment team consists of 134 stationary polling unit observers and 16 roving media observers.
Well, voters in Anambra State will head to the polls to vote in their next governor too, who will pilot the state's affairs for another 4 years. Well, INEC had approved a final register of over 2.8 million voters for tomorrow's exercise, while 16 candidates from 16 parties have been cleared for the contest. The coordinator of Nigeria Women Trust Fund, Vanessa Gregory, has been speaking on the measure of female participation in Saturday's exercise, and she's highlighting the 2 female candidates and 7 deputy governorship candidates as significant, but she's also frowned at the lack of inclusion in the participation process for females.
When we talk about deliberate efforts, we have seen debates hosting these 2 female candidates. We should also mention that there are also 6 deputy female candidates in this race. So when it comes to deliberate, I think we have a longer way to go. A lot of people aren't aware that there are 2 female candidates in the running, but we can't attribute that solely on the part of the media. Although they haven't specifically gone out to speak to the female candidates haven't also been forthcoming or seeking this coverage. So it's a two-way street, So we know that the lessons learned from this is that we need to give adequate gender balanced coverage to both male and female candidates. And we also appeal and urge the female candidates to seek this media coverage so that their mandates are covered and people are aware that there are females in any election.
Well, let's get in more reactions now. This time, the Inspector General of Police, Kayode Egbetiko, who is reassuring Nigerians and residents in Anambra State of comprehensive security measures, says, are in place ahead of the polls. The IGP has also confirmed that 2 deputy IGPs, along with other senior police officers, are strategically stationed in Anambra to oversee and coordinate all security officers deployed for the polls. He's also calling on all eligible voters to exercise their rights and participate in the process peacefully.
We are fully prepared to provide security for the election in Anambra. We have completed our deployment. 2 DIGs are already on ground, supervising all the security agencies deployed for this election. We have deployed adequately, and I don't expect anything that will come out on Saturday different from what we have done in Edo, in Ondo, and in other places. So I want to assure Nigerians that voters in Anambra should come out to cast their vote. A level playing ground is going to be provided for all the candidates. The Nigerian police does not have a candidate in this election. Our commitment and our loyalty is to the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. So nothing is going to go wrong in Anambra on Saturday. Everything will go on smoothly.
The federal government has reaffirmed its commitments to deepening digital competency of teachers who will drive the ongoing Smart Schools initiative across the country. Speaking at a workshop in Abuja, the Executive Secretary of the Universal Basic Education Commission, noted that the government is committed to enhancing the knowledge of teachers for an inclusive learning environment.
This workshop is part of efforts to scale down the digital competency of the workforce that will drive the federal government's Smart School initiative across the country. It also serves as a major platform to review progress and chart the path forward for technology-based learning. The partnership focused initially on establishing smart classrooms and digital content studios, aiming to equip teachers with modern digital skills.
The Smart School concept is a viable model for the educational transformation that align with global best practices towards digital competence and inclusive learning. Nigeria cannot be left behind in this technological age.
The federal government had in June this year announced plans to roll out 37 new smart schools across the country by the end of 2026. According to the Universal Basic Education Commission, there are already 21 smart schools across the country, courtesy of a $10 million funding from the Korean government. Development partners attending this workshop are interested in the need for the Nigerian government to sustain and scale.
Our vision was to help Nigeria build a strong foundation for technology-based learning. This means equipping teachers with cutting-edge skills and encouraging students to learn creatively and confidently. As we conclude the first phase, our focus must shift from implementation to sustainability and scale.
Nigeria's Smart School initiative aims to transform the country's education system by introducing technology-driven learning across public schools nationwide.
In Gombe State, Governor Yaya has called for more meaningful collaborations between state and federal government as the only realistic path to developing the country. The governor made the call when he performed the official groundbreaking ceremony of power projects at the 1,000 hectares Muhammadu Buhari Industrial Park at the Dadinkowa area of the Almatu Deba local government area of that state. The governor also revealed that when completed, the project is capable of creating over 3,000 jobs and bringing unprecedented development to Gombe State.
The 7.5 MVA and 33 kVA/11 kVA injection substation, along with the 2.5 km 33 kVA line tee-off, to be undertaken by the Gombe State Government and the Niger Delta Power Holding Company, is being flagged off to connect the Muhammadu Buhari Industrial Park to the national grid. Governor Yaya expresses confidence that partnerships like this will create jobs, boost agriculture and industrial activities.
The Niger Delta Power Holding Company is uniquely positioned for this kind of intervention, being a company jointly owned by the federal government and the subnational governments. This model of ownership makes today's collaboration not just beneficial, but essential. It is a perfect example of how federal institutions would work hand in hand with the subnational governments in order to harness our unique industrial and energy potentials.
The partners driving the project say initiatives like this are aimed at strengthening the transmission and distribution capacity of the country.
Be assured that we will continue to support His Excellency to achieve energy security and to achieve his industrialization dream that would ensure that we can unlock sustainable socio-economic development, create jobs, create wealth, and alleviate poverty for the good people of Gombe State.
The states are now empowered to participate on all the three value chains, which are the most critical: the generation, the transmission, and the distribution. So his foresight in bringing this developmental project is really going to impact positively in the growth and development of our state. The industrial park, through partnership with NDPC and other stakeholders in the power sector. Together, we are not only expanding infrastructure, but also empowering businesses, creating opportunities and improving lives.
The project, when completed in about 6 months, will supply power to the industrial park and surrounding communities. Daily Omoyeni, Channels Television News.
Well, let's check in now with our business decks, where Nigeria's bakery industry wants to thrive in segments of the fast-moving consumer goods market is facing mounting pressure as rising production costs, inflation, and shifting consumer preferences take their toll. Industry players say many bakeries are now shutting down, with demand for baked goods dropping sharply despite ongoing efforts to innovate and stay afloat.
Consumer dynamics are changed, basically due to the purchasing power of consumers. When we started, if I want to use myself as an example, when I started baking, that's about 13 years ago, the largest size of loaf we had was 900 grams. And pre-COVID, before COVID, we had 1.3 kg of loaves, because it was like people were conscious of the value of buying big loaves. But now we are doing 300 grams of bread.
300 grams.
From 1.4 kg to 300. And now the 300 grams is the one that is moving volumes.
So does it mean the bread has gotten lighter?
No, people can't afford to buy 1.3 kg of bread is over 2,000 naira. 300 grams of bread is going for about 400 naira. Purchasing power, people can't afford. How many family can put 2,000 naira to buy bread? So now we have consumers buying 300 naira, 400 naira loaves. So we can see, like, that's what I said, from the 2000, when people were buying 1.5 kg bigger loaves for the family. But you see people buying 400 naira, 300 naira bread. So consumer changes, the purchasing power of the consumers, as it's going down, it's affecting. And any discerning bakery now definitely has to follow the trend. We're all doing smaller size loaves now, despite the fact that when you look at it, it's more expensive to do smaller size of loaves because you use the same power, the same number of people, but you have to follow the consumer trend. That's what people want to buy. And that's what we're doing.
Nigeria's latest Eurobond issuance has drawn strong investor interest, recording a 400% oversubscription. The development comes amid ongoing debates over government spending and rising debt levels. On Business Morning earlier today, Professor Uche Waleke, Director of the Institute of Capital Market Studies at Nasarawa State University, KEFI, examines what this signals for investor confidence, fiscal sustainability, and Nigeria's borrowing strategy.
In recent times, too, we have, recorded or witnessed favorable credit ratings, from major global, rating services. So investors, of course, took all that into cognizance, with respect to this Eurobond issuance. And that explains the reason too we had investors from virtually every part of the world. People showed strong interest from UK, from US, Middle East, Asia, and including Africa. And of course, eventually the Eurobonds are going to be listed on the London Stock Exchange, the Nigerian exchange here, and the FMDQ. So it's also a way of further developing our own domestic market. So talking about the factors, these are essentially what, in my view, must have influenced the strong demand for the Eurobonds that we issue.
Professor Uche Waleke, well, business news does it for us. News at 5. Thanks indeed for watching. On behalf of the production team and everyone here, I'm Kelly Egiga. Bye now.